All right, what's up, everybody? So my name is Steven Gomez. Call me Gomez. This is Michael Neal with First and 10 Consulting. So what we're doing is we're starting a podcast. We want to just talk to different folks, different industries, just try to get a mindset of where people are at, what's made them successful, what took them to where they are now, and kind of the build up to that and such. Um, a little bit about myself. I'm a combat veteran from the Army, served 15 years. I have a bachelor's degree in finance. I went to school for a little bit for my MBA at Texas A&M. Pretty well-rounded, educated entrepreneur. Obviously, the YouTube, do credit repair, do consulting, marketing, and just a whole bunch of other little things. But I wanted to get it right into it. So, uh, guys, the channel is called Chopping It Up with Gomez, and then we got Michael Neal in the house as well. So pull up a chair, let's chop it up, and let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, I ain't gonna add too much to it, man. I'll just piggyback what Steven said. Well, pretty much he did a damn good job of introducing himself. So now just a little bit about me. My name is Mike Neal. I am a former NFL player, or to some people, a superstar. I got drafted to Green Bay Packers in 2010, went a second round overall, won the Super Bowl as a rookie, which was a pretty cool accomplishment. I did graduate from college, Purdue University, with 2 degrees, one of which was in health and kinesiology. The other one was organizational leadership and supervision. So that that I like that major pretty much because it set me up for life after football. I didn't think that it would do what it did for me until after I left the game, which was and a little bit about my background too. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, a very poverty-stricken area, and so that kind of led me to where I am now, which is facilitating credit repair to people to help them get finance for homes, whatever the case may be. I'm also a real estate agent, so I do real estate, which is fun for me, and I enjoy it as well. On the investment side of it, I don't like being a realtor so much. So, but other than that, that's pretty much who I am. And like I said, I'm here to help Steven, and whatever you can get out of this, get out of it. Whatever we can drop as a gem for you, take those gems, implement those gems, take action, because action is how we get to where we want to be.
So I guess my first question would be, um, when in your like high school, was it middle school? Like, when did you know that you wanted to play NFL ball?
Great question. I never did. A lot of people. The biggest thing about me was that I've always been a competitor. So growing up, I always liked to compete. I think that whatever it was, whatever I put my hands to, it was just competing, man. I mean, whether it be in school, whether it be on the playground, whether it be basketball, which was my first love, whether it was, the football field, weight room, whatever it was, I just wanted to compete. And I had I'm a very type A OCD perfectionist type of person. So whatever I do, it's always looking to make it and make it great, and that's pretty much how I am and how I was born. So I think that the NFL was just a part of that. It's just a part of that story. And luckily enough, I had the opportunity to do so.
Nice. So you're playing college ball, and so like, do you just sign up for the NFL? Does somebody call you? Like, do they scout you? Like, how does that part work?
Yeah, man, it's a long process. I mean, the process is a little bit more drawn out nowadays. I think that there's a lot more emphasis on like high school recruiting, and then you got this NIL, I think is what it's called, whatever the case may be, where college players are actually getting paid in college and all that other jazz. When I was coming out, it was just pretty much this. You had to be damn good to be on the college radar. Once you got on the college radar, they would send scouts over to your high school, kind of recruit you from there. And then once you get into like that sophomore year, that junior year, it's all about SATs, ACTs, making sure that you can actually be accepted into college. And then if you're that good of a player, you start getting scholarship offers. So from that standpoint, you get if you're really, really good, you get to pick which college you want to go to. I chose Purdue. It was down the street from where I live and where I grew up. And then after Purdue, when I was at Purdue, there was a lot of people leaving to go to the NFL. People that like, what's that? The not St. Louis, geez, oh Pete's. what's my people, the Saints. Drew Brees, I grew up under the Drew Brees era, so Drew Brees went to Purdue. I mean, we had a plethora of first round draft picks, first through third round, and so at that point, I kind of knew. I'm like, you know what, the opportunity for me to get to the NFL will be there. And once again, you have to stand out. You got to be one of the best, and then the NFL scouts come find you. And from that standpoint, if you're good enough to get drafted, you get drafted. So it's a whole process, and it's long and grueling, but it's worth it in the end.
Man, I gotta ask, like that first day, like you're suited up, like you're walking to the stadium, it's your first NFL game. What's going through your mind, like going in there, being like, "Fuck, man, I made it."
But it's cool shit. My very first NFL game I played in though was kind of different. I was already hurt, so coming out of training camp, I got hurt. I ended up tearing a ligament in between my ribs. And it took me 4 weeks to bounce back. So the first game I came back, I was more concerned about hurting myself than anything else. And I just didn't want to get hurt any more than what I was. And I knew that I
Yeah,
would be playing with restrictions. So that was first things first. But secondly, it's just kind of like, I think when you go through college, you kind of prep for that. I played in front of big crowds, being in the Big Ten. Green Bay, we only housed like 80,000. I played against Michigan. It was like 100,000 there. Penn State, 110,000 there. So I played against bigger crowds and played in bigger stadiums. But for it to be the National Football League, that's just a whole different surreal thing, man. I don't think that you ever really kind of get used to it either. Every time you step on that field, you realize how the opportunity and just being grateful and the gratitude that you feel behind it, just to be out there and being able to do that. You're one of a kind, so you don't take it for granted, and there's a feeling that never gets old. But it's an adrenaline rush for sure.
yeah, and just to follow up with that, not only just playing in the NFL for Green Bay, you went to a fucking Super Bowl. Like, come on, man.
You know what, Stephen? It's funny that you say that. And I just recently did a podcast, and I told the guy, and I'm like, he asked me in a different way. He said, where's the Super Bowl ring? Do you wear it? And I told him no. He asked me why, and I said it's in the case. He said, well, why don't you put it on? I said, I don't deserve that ring. And to a lot of people, they look at that and go, well, dude, you won a Super Bowl. And I tell them, like, the story for me is different. I was hurt. I didn't play in that game. And the funny thing is that nobody ever, you won't find it anywhere. As many times as they introduce me on different platforms in front of different crowds and different front of audience in different audiences, and when I'm speaking, doing speaking engagements, it's always Michael Neal, the NFL superstar that won a Super Bowl. But in my mind, it's always Michael Neal, the NFL superstar that didn't win the Super Bowl, and that's because I know I didn't play, and nobody remembers that, and that's one thing that haunts me. So it's in a box where it belongs. You know what I'm saying? I don't wear it. I didn't earn it. I don't feel like I deserve it. And that's just me, but that's the reason why I am where I am today. It's the chip that I carry on my shoulder. And it's cool, man, and it gets me into doors. But I'm more than that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, had I played in that game, maybe I feel a little bit different. But I don't regret it. The opportunity to do it. There's Hall of Famers that wish that they were hurt that even got one and didn't play. They wouldn't give a shit. But for me, that's just who I am. So it's cool, but it is what it is.
For sure. So let's kind of go on that as far as mindset. So, man, I seen you working out at the gym, dude. You're a fucking beast. What's your schedule like? Like, what time do you get up in the morning?
I actually upped it, man. I used to wake up at about 3:45, and now I pushed it to 3:15. Why? Is because it's always a challenge. I'm looking for a challenge, but more or less, I think for me, if I had to spin it, the way that I look at it is I don't know too many people that get up at 3:15 to do what I do. And at
No,
the same time, I think that that's exactly why in the back of my mind, I'm like, because I know you won't do it is the reason why I'll do you in anything. And I think that that's what I kind of hang my hat on. So I'm up at 3:15, typically at the gym by about 4. Sit in the hot tub for about 30 minutes as I'm getting older, man. 13 surgeries. I got to let these joints warm up. So
right?
uh, I'm usually in the hot tub for about 30 minutes, get out, take me a shower. It's pretty much the same routine I did when I was in the league, except I had a cold tub. Take a shower, then I'm in the gym. And that moment in the gym, for me, like I tell people, it's the only time of the day that I get to put headphones on and I can close my eyes. And even through doing reps, the eccentric and the concentric movements, being able to listen to music and listen to myself, it's the only piece that I get. As soon as I leave that gym, my phone's blowing up and people's calling me. So I take those little things with me all the way, and that's just how it was built from the ground up. And that's pretty much my schedule in the morning. I get home, get the kids off to school, eat in front of a computer, and I don't shut it down till about 10:30 at night. So I'm gonna go with a little bit of sleep, but somebody got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
But
Man, when I was in the Army, we used to always boast, because we get up early, we're working out, and we're getting to work, getting stuff done. We used to say that we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day, except for Michael Neal, because get up at 3:15.
But it's facts. It's facts. I tell people all the time, like I try, and that's my goal. I don't want to. When everybody else is working, I don't want to work. I want to be able to. My next working is work for me. But at the end of the day, I think that if you're a business owner, you're always looking for the next competitive edge. You always want to learn. You always want to do those continuing educations. You always want to look into different mentorship. So if I can get majority of the things that I need to get done before majority of the world is waking up, then I have that time to actually pour into my business by, doing other creative things. So just with the working out and being able to get home early and try to put my face in front of a computer, and it's not always that way. There's times I come home and I got to lay down and go to sleep for 30 minutes because I'm just taxed out from the weight room, but it's all worth it in the end.
Nice. So I guess the next thing I would ask is, when you're, getting out of the NFL, like, what was your mindset then? Like, I know for me, for instance, like when I left the Army, after so long, I mean, I had a first and 15 paycheck, like clockwork, insurance. I didn't have to worry about shit. But now I get out and I'm just like, oh shit, I gotta hustle. Like, I gotta go and do something different. And I've been doing this, for so long. And so, like, how was that for you, leaving the NFL, coming into like the civilian world, as I call it? Like, how was that shift for you?
Pretty much the same thing, honestly, except the only thing that's different is that we have a chance, if you did it the right way, to leave with money in your pocket, and to not have bills, to not have expenses. And I don't think that people really realize that. But you got to think about this: 80% of the guys in the NFL leave broken divorce after 3.25 years. So that's 8 out of 10 people, right? So if you think about 8 out of 10 guys, there only being about 1,500 guys, you do the math, how many of those guys leave broken divorce and how many of them are actually able to sustain what they have. So my mindset was you've been broke, you've been poor, you lived off fucking WIC, you lived in a hood. I don't want to go back to that. So what is it that I can do to make sure and assure and ensure that I don't have to be in that same position? And so I kind of took a year off. I played my cards right. I didn't have too many bills. I had two little ones at the time, well, actually three. And it was more so like, let me be a dad, because that's just really what I care about the most. But at the end of the day, no matter how much money you make, when you live that lifestyle, you have to be able to produce to keep up with that lifestyle. So I was like, you know what? Let me figure out what I want to do next. And the biggest thing for me was being able to make investments or go into the investment field or understand investing as a whole. So I got my real estate license. I didn't really get it to be a realtor per se, but I got it to understand real estate. So for me, anything that I put my hand in, I want to be knowledgeable about it. So that's why I ended up taking the course and getting licensed. But I think that my mindset was to create cash flow, and how the hell can I create cash flow and create generational wealth? And I'm still stuck on that same mode, but that's cool though.
Yeah,
Man.
nice. So, kind of shifting gears here a little bit again. Excuse me, with mindset. I know you and I have talked about it before, about playing injured and still having to go out there, and play the game. Like, what what would you say helped you in your mindset just battle through it? Even though, like, I remember you told me one time, like, you had to fly across country to get some shots in your stomach and or your pelvic area, and then having to come back and play a game. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, I tried to make myself get a little emotional prior to having to talk about it, because it gets me in that place. Um, when I was going through what I was going through in the NFL, I tell people all the time, I don't think that when I got drafted, it was about being drafted. I was a second round draft pick, and that was cool. It's like, damn, you get the opportunity to play in the NFL. Sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in today, 15 years later, I realized that everything that God gave me, He put in my possession, wasn't for me. It was for everybody else. Um, and what an honor it is to actually have God use you as a steward or a servant for other people. I'll say that first and foremost. My mom was actually dying of cancer when I was in the NFL, my first 2 years, and it was really, really tough. And so it was like, man, okay, I might lose my mom, and this has been something that she had been dealing with since I was in high school. And now my dad is at home trying to work, and all of my other siblings are there. My older sister, my three little brothers, and the only chance in hell we have at being able to have financial freedom or not have to struggle is me. So I always thought about it as like, if my mom's fighting cancer, what the fuck is anything that I'm going through compared to that? She's fighting for her life. I had 13 surgeries, okay, whatever. She fell and she's fighting to get back up. So if she can fight cancer and beat it, and she did, what the hell makes me exempt from having to fight through these minor pains? Because I knew at that point in time, she had a job that was paying over $100,000 a year. She was a breadwinner. And then that just went to the shits. So now it was like, I'm young with all this money. I might as well take care of my family. And that's exactly what I did. But people don't understand. I can tell you my last 3 years in the NFL, every game that I played, I cried for 2.5 hours in a bathroom from just being overwhelmed. I was depressed. I was overwhelmed. I was in a lot of pain. I was flying every week to Philadelphia from Green Bay to get 16 injections on both sides of my hip. So you do the math. And then I was getting injections down to my joints. I was taking over 150 opiates a week. And this is just to play one fucking game. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and you talking about taking all that medication, and then I was taking Adderall, and I was taking fucking Prozac. So I'm like all out of whack emotionally just to play a game, to be able to produce, because I knew that my dad was going to be there. I knew that my brothers was going to be there. And Steven, you wouldn't even know that they didn't even know half of this shit because I wouldn't disclose it to them, because I didn't want them to worry about me. Because my thing was if I can do it, I'll fucking die doing it, but I'm not gonna let y'all die and struggle. I won't do that. So somebody had to carry the torch, and that's just how I looked at it, man. So every time somebody gets down, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing it for? You
Right.
have to have something that's a foundational piece, or something that anchors you to who you are to the core, to get up and do it. I just had a kid that was 20 years old today in the weight room ask me, he's like, man, do you eat a lot? I'm like, sort of, because he's like looking at my size and everything. But I asked him, I said, well, how old are you? He was like, I'm 20. I said, I was doing this shit 8 years prior to the age of 20. So what I do now is no different than what the fuck I did when I was 12 years old. I'm 36. I am not changed. You talking about being consistent. Who I am to the core won't change, because this is what the fuck made me. When you broke and you hungry and you ain't got shit to eat and can't nobody fucking feed you, you can't call home from college and ask your parents for money. Fuck, that weight room and protein is what the fuck got me through. That shit was free. You got
Yeah.
weight, you got protein. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go in that motherfucker and lift all these weights, and then I'm gonna eat. Protein is free. The stuff on scholarship is free. So you just stay true to the core. And every time I go to the weight room, it brings me right back to that. I was broke, and this got me millions of dollars. So if I'm broke now, it's gonna get me back to another $1,000,000. So you just stay the pace, and then you keep the pace, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing with that, with you fighting so hard and being a role model and stepping up, helped out your family. But you got a brother that plays in the league too.
Yeah, man. He lived with me. He just texted me 15 minutes ago, I'm playing, so you got to come to the game. I'm like, all right. Because they have preseason right now, but, like, just back to even what I was saying before, and I just had this conversation with my mom just this past week because she was in town. I told her, I'm like, you never really know. People get this thing about motivation and inspiration. They think it's fucking interchangeable. It's not. It's not at all, because my brother's always telling me thank you, when with him being here, and he's starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the kids living a high life right now, and he's always like, thank you for everything that you did. And I'm like, you know what? The one thing I always tell anybody that's connected to me, don't ever thank me for anything. Don't. I don't need you to tell me thank you. Just go out there and show me that you're thankful. And that's the only thing I require. Go out there and play. Because if I could, I'd still be out there. I still had years left in my body when I left. I still could have played on the same fields as he played on at the same time. The only thing I tell him to do is go pay it forward. And even with that being said, I tell him all the time, don't thank me because guess what? I didn't wear your helmet in college. I didn't sit in your college classes. I didn't go run at the combine. I didn't go do what you did on the NFL field to get you where you at. I might have inspired that, but the inspiration that you got from it created the motivation that you have, and that motivation has driven you all the way to this day. So there's no reason to thank me for it. If you want to thank anything, thank God for being able to put me there to be able to show you how to do it. And if God willing to show you how to do it better than I did, because if I don't have you to set the bar, then you don't set the bar for somebody else to jump over. So we got to keep creating these. I tell them like, somebody had to be the Martin Luther King of the family. Somebody had to
Right,
be the Rosa Parks of the family. Somebody had to be the Barack Obama. And notice I'm referencing all black people purposely because
right,
somebody has to be able to break that trend or those generational curses that we set upon ourselves. So it's huge, man. It's huge to have him here under my wing, and he inspires me more than he even knows it, man, on a day-to-day basis.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that, about like the family and stuff. Like me, I grew up in a very poor side of town. Um, I ended up getting in trouble through all my younger years, and I got sent to a boys' home. And like my whole family, nobody ever graduated from high school. It was always drop out, sell dope, be a gangbanger,
Mhm.
go to prison, get tatted up, come back, and that's your role. So it's funny because Lisa and I go back there now, and I run into some of my cousins that I was looking up to them when I was younger. I'm just like, oh, hey, man. And they're all proud as shit. They're like, damn, bro, like, we love you. Like, you got out and did something. And I was like, I never looked at it that way. I'm just like, man, I guess I did, because I think with society, like, once you get into that, like you're born into it, unfortunately, and people don't have the mindset to be like, this shit ain't gotta be for me. Like
Right.
I could do something different. I don't have to go down that path, And I just think that's amazing. How you were saying, hey, I grew up, like in this bad area, but I didn't let my environment choose who I needed to be, and I just kind of went my own way, and then now your brother's playing ball and thanking you. And I think it's so cool that you're just like, man, don't thank me, just pay it forward. Because I help people all the time, man. Even here in the neighborhood, they're just like, man, Steven, can I pay you? And I'm just like, man, just pay that shit forward. It's because it's priceless.
Yeah.
People don't think about it that way anymore. It's all about how much can I make for doing this, or how much can I make for doing it, or tit for tat. Like if I help you, could you help me? Like it ain't about that, man. Like the real people, like the real soldiers, I always try to say like we're wolves. I tell my 12-year-old daughter Mia that all the time. I'm like, baby, you're a wolf. You're gonna go do your own thing. You're gonna lead the pack. You ain't gonna be a follower. And man, you just pump every time I talk to you, man. You always just pump me up.
Appreciate it. But what you're saying is 100% true. I think that people don't really do it. I had to really think about it this way. Like I'm a Christian. I'm a non-denominational Christian, denominational. But I always tell people, if you believe in Jesus and you believe in God, you believe in Christ, whatever the hell it is you believe in. But if you believe in Jesus Christ, he was a servant. That man was put on this earth to serve. And if you really believe in how this all works, that we're made in his image and likeness, what makes you exempt from serving? What makes you exempt from being a servant? What makes you exempt from giving? And the ultimate thing that you get back is life. And people really don't realize that. It's like you're here. You're breathing, you living, you walking. And guess what? On your worst day, that's somebody's best day. So be thankful for your worst day because that's somebody else's best day. And as long as you keep that shit in perspective, no matter how bad it seems, you still have breath in your body. Your limbs are still functioning and you can still move forward. There's a lot of people that don't have that. So you have
Right.
to really go back to just being grateful for everything that is that you have. And once you create that space to where you can be grateful and you show gratitude, when the shit hits the fan, you kind of go back to like, you know what? It's all good, man. I'm gonna go to sleep and wake up, and if God's willing, I have another opportunity tomorrow. And you put your best foot forward, and then slowly but surely, shit starts to change. And then even with that and paying it forward, the more that you give, the more that you receive, and you have to be able to give with an open heart. And not too many people can do that. You know, I've been in a space where I've been pissed recently, and I hope to God that she watches this. I paid a lady $5,000 to get her car from being stopped from being repossessed. Fixed her credit. Hired her as a consultant agent for my company. That motherfucker took $7,000 and ran from me, and then literally within a month's time, pretty much was like, "Yeah, I can't do this no more. I think I got other adventures that I need to do." It cost me a lot of money in my credit repair business. And I'm telling you, for about 3 weeks, I couldn't even sleep because I'm thinking to myself, like, how the hell could you just take $7,000, pay for this lady to get a notary, pay for her to get certified in credit repair, just so she can be at the top? Told her my whole goal was for her to be a COO, take this over. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And she pretty much just dropped the ball on me. And about $7,000 later, she's out. And so now I'm sitting there scrambling. I'm like, well, how the hell can I make my $7,000 back? And I relied on her, and I was hurt. But ultimately, I learned a lesson. Like, you know, make people pay, make people show. You know, you got to hold people accountable. But at the same
Oh,
time, at the end of the day, she left, and now my business is booming. So God put people in there to show you one thing, let you hurt, and then He brings you a whole nother venture. So at the end of the day, it is what it is, man. Take the $7,000. But if you couldn't produce $7,000 to get your car from being stopped from being repossessed, you'll probably gonna be able to pay your rent soon. So if you're out on the street, I can't help you from that standpoint. I did what I was supposed to, but you
right.
know, you still be a good steward, man. You give to people, and God to get back to you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, last thing, man. Um, if you could change anything from when you started to now, would you?
I love this question because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if I changed one thing. And it's funny because I used to watch this little TV show on the WCW called The Flash. And one of the biggest things with him was that he wanted to change the timeline. He wanted to go back and change something and bring his mom back. And every single time he went back, he changed something. The output in his the life now that he was living changed. And so I always look at that and I go, you know what? There's some things that I would have did differently. Yeah, in hindsight, but in all due respects to myself, I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't be where I'm at. Everything that I went through in life was supposed to lead me here. And who knows if I would even be sitting here talking to you if I changed one thing. So, nah, man, you take it, you learn from it, you look at the future, you understand where you want to go, and then you stay present. And then at the end of the day, everything that you want, you'll get, you know?
Nice. I
Yeah,
love it, man.
yeah,
Man, thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm super stoked that we're going to do this together. You know, hopefully here soon we'll get our first guest together, and then we can chop it up with them, and we can go from there. Last thing, if you can just tell us your credit repair company, we'll throw a link in the comments too. Um, just let me know if where we could go, where we can ask questions. You know, if someone needs their credit repair fixed, is there a link? You know, just a little bit about that.
yeah. No, I appreciate it, Stephen. Man, this is how you know you got a good heart. You own a credit repair company, but mine is First and 10 Consulting. If you need anything, you just go to firstand10consulting.net. If you're looking for me on the internet, if you're looking for me on Instagram, it's Michael J. Neal 96. On Facebook, just type in my name, Michael J. Neal, it'll pop up. Any information that you need, DM me, and then we'll definitely be there to help you. But man, I appreciate it, Stephen, and you know, I'm looking forward to doing it too. Right? And I hope that we get some people on here that can give away, just give knowledge because that's the gift. The biggest gift is giving, and then an ultimate return is being able to have things that you can never even imagine. So you know, this would be a cool journey. It'd be cool to listen to other people drop gems, even if it's not in the credit repair space, from any space or any venue that they might have to be able to bring and just share knowledge and share wealth and then bring more people to the table. But keeping people in the know, keeping people informed is what we look forward to. So, yeah, I appreciate it, man.
All right. And everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And we'll chop it up with you next time. See
Yes.
ya.